Let's call this meeting to order, please. Our work session for February 3rd. We do not have any board and commission interviews. We do need to review the regular agenda. I would like to we do have two proclamations tonight, but I'd like to do new business right after the proclamations if no one has any objection to that. All right, so let's see if I can remember when we get to the regular meeting that we've changed the order. I'm sure you all will help me do that.
Yes.
Anything else we want to review on the regular agenda?
No.
We can do updates. I'm going to ask that we keep them brief today because we've got a very full list of items. David, anything?
Nothing for me, Madam Mayor.
Dr. People? Mr. City Attorney?
No, ma'am.
Kate?
No.
All right, that side's clear.
You know,
Emily?
here's where it's getting.
And Green Spice met last night. They're both on track to get their updates and budgets in by the deadline, which is good.
Yeah.
And then lots going on in other ways, but that's all that's pertinent for tonight.
Okay, thank you.
I attended the 1STL Climate Action Summit on Friday, and really great conversations, and still needing to distill all that happened there, but looking forward to seeing what's next. I have nothing to say.
Wow, when I asked brief, it got really brief. Now I'm going to be embarrassed that I have more things. I did, David, go to the Arts Commission this morning because there is a mayor's roundtable with the Arts Commission and local businesses. So I needed to get my marching orders for what that is. It is February 12th at 8:30. And the idea is the Arts Commission wants to know how they can help businesses and promote economic development in Webster. So I think it'll be a good exchange of ideas. As many of you are aware, probably all of you are aware, we had students from the high school and from the middle school come here on Friday to present me with some information about what they would like our relationship to be with ICE of the federal government. And they're, depending on who you believe, there were from 400 to many hundreds more than that. I want to first of all congratulate the students for their behavior and their planning and their willingness to use their constitutional right to express their opinion. But I also want to have a huge thank you to our police department and our fire department who made sure that everything happened in a safe way. And, you know, there are cities in this country where students might have felt intimidated. And I am just so pleased that our fire department and police department were able to, you know, focus on safety and the kids felt safe in doing this. So thank you to both of you for the departments for that. I did also, we have also received at last count, I'm going to say roughly 80 letters from residents about our relationship as a city with ICE and the Department of Homeland Security. I went to a learning opportunity put on by the Migrant and Immigrant Community Agency. That's not the right acronym, MICA, and the ACLU that has some questions for local leaders to ask. I shared those with you. More than a quorum of us would like to continue that discussion. So I want to talk to the city manager about how we might best facilitate that going forward after we've seen those educational materials. Katie is compiling for us a list of the email addresses and names of those who had letters related to ICE so that if any council member wanted that information, that will be available to you. All right. So let's go straight to our topics. We are going to save the larger discussion of the safe streets for another meeting, but I promised David, or Marie promised David a sentence or two. So yes, we got to keep that promise.
So if you, in your packet, you saw this memo from our consultant that's working on the comprehensive safety action plan. The memo basically is an overview of the proposed strategies and action items that will be part of that plan. Rather than go through that tonight, my only ask is you take a look at the memo, and if you have any comments, please send them to me by the end of the week, email or call, whatever's convenient for you. All these strategies and action plans are approved already nationally by federal highways. These are proven strategies and actions But if there's something that, raises a red flag with you, if you think there's something missing, please let me know.
Great,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Right, we are gonna move on now to the Memorial Park Master Plan. And James, are you gonna do an introduction of our guests? All right, thank you.
Planning and Design Studio are here, Jonathan, and Caitlin are from Planning Design Studio. We're gonna give an update on the Memorial Park Master Plan, with Performance Park. And I'll turn it over to Jonathan and we'll take questions and everything obviously throughout, and excited to present this.
Okay. So happy to be back here. Really briefly, we'll just go through the process for Performance Park. This was done at the same time as the skate park, but tonight we'll just talk about performance for that. A big part is the community input. This was very mixed. It's kind of the opposite as Ivory Crockett. So it's a very mixed bag for that. And we'll talk about the recommended master plan, at least from this is how the city did that, and then briefly go over the cost estimate. So the same general format as Ivory Crockett. We had 2 public meetings. We had 2 full surveys for this. Performance also had a stakeholder meeting with certain like music groups or people that are interested in that. And so that's the same format that we went through. As the public surveys go, we had a lot more responses compared to Ivory Crockett. First one had 308, second one had 300. So there's a lot of people that at least responded back to this. When we asked about where's the location that we wanted this, the first one came, Memorial Park edged out a little bit of the others compared to Blackburn and definitely more than Larson and Southwest. When we went back and reviewed this, we went through the second time and actually we represented this question, and it was even more even between 33% Memorial, 30% Blackburn, and 35% spreading it around. So there's really like a tight, I guess, there's not like a even consensus of exactly where this should go. So then we had to dig a lot deeper into the data to try to see what's the best option, or what are the pros and cons for that. At the public meetings, maybe about a third of the people that attended were there for the Performance Park. 2/3 was more for the skate park, for each of them. But from both public meetings and the stakeholder group, we had a lot of different input coming through. Some of the ideas were, what if you like build up some of the other parks, or, kind of split this up instead of having a massive performance venue? What if you have smaller ones? Or what if you kind of have keep it a little bit more informal? There's different ideas that were bounced around for these. When we dug into the data of the community surveys, the people came up with these. They said they wanted these ideas at the top, and then we tried to apply them to which park really fits better. So, for example, I know this is probably harder to read. The atmosphere, they wanted an informal area, or lively with foods, vendors, and lights. So Memorial has that one a little bit more than Blackburn, though both of them are can be relaxed. They wanted crowd sizes of similar to the other bigger places like Old Webster Jazz or the Old Orchard Music Series. In terms of amenities, Memorial doesn't really have shade, but Blackburn has less parking if you are considering the school parking available. City-owned parking, both are equal, but Memorial does have potential access to the schools if you have a deal with them. So that kind of controls crowd size. And then finally, the uses, both of them can have concerts and movies in the park, though Memorial potentially have kind of more food festivals or something, because it has a road right there that you can bring up food trucks. But this is still really close. And so we took this data and presented to the city to help get their recommendation. And they initially came up with this idea.
Yes. So I'll hop in. And I think I'll start by saying it's really neat to see so many people turn out to the open houses that we had, and 608 people filling out the survey. It was just phenomenal. So I want to commend everyone for stepping up and participating, because that's what the open houses are all about, and getting public input, what we do. And it was really, really cool to see the turnout. Staff recommendation would be to place Performance Park at Memorial Park. We have many reasons why. As Jonathan mentioned, I'll just kind of go down the line. Parking for events, the parking's there. It's the most adequate parking. And when we were going through discussing this, we weren't just thinking about immediate, but also 5, 10 years, 15, 20 years down the road. And it's exciting to build the rec campus. We have, there's a lot that aligns with existing park functions. Memorial Park is already very high traffic, so it would be a good fit with the rec center there, the water park. Another thing, Blackburn Park currently has 3 pavilions. And the idea of adding a rentable space at Memorial Park is exciting, just in the sense of building the rec campus and offering a venue there that we could rent out throughout the year. And also another big added benefit, the fields, the 2 fields at Memorial Park are rented out typically around 162 days a year. By adding restrooms along with the batting cages currently are, and a small concession stand, it would enhance the user performance for multiple times throughout the year, and not just the select times that we have theater in the park or a summer concert, things along that line. Excuse me. I mentioned flexible event space. This area, we'd be recommending to put a large concrete pad that could be utilized for rentals, area for baseball, soccer as well. If we would put the chairs on, utilize the event space for that. But more importantly, it also would provide a place for farmers markets to be held, food truck events, vendor fairs, and just seasonal community programming throughout, and not just honed in on one specific spot, such as Blackburn. And so that's kind of all that I have.
Mhm. So based off of that recommendation, we then took the next step forward of what does that initially look like. And so as a very early concept, basically the kind of pavilion stage would be in this area, kind of close to the soccer fields. There's currently trucks have to get through here to access one of the cell phone towers, and so we have that area at least partially paved to do that. The batting cages would be repurposed. Like the old cell phone building that used to be there, they abandoned that, and so that can be partially turned into either concessions, with another comfort station built next to that area. And let's see.
Before you move on, do we
Yes.
have an idea where we might have another site for batting cages? Do they still get used, or
They
what's
do,
the status of that?
and I don't know historically this year they have been used, not to the extent that they were years ago. Right now it's kind of more of a storage space for Webster Baseball Softball Association.
And sorry, can I
Yeah.
ask, the, along like this Ambrose Way, if that's like imagining food trucks and that sort of thing, is that a street that could be closed off for safety, and then
Yes.
the access would be open?
Yes, we do close that for 4th of July. This is a spot where we shoot off fireworks, so we can shut it down.
Okay.
But that is a possibility, that's to close a section of it for food trucks and, farmers market, maybe put tents and people can walk along that area.
Is that coordinated with the school district, since they have,
No, it's a city street as far as shutting the,
so we don't coordinate with the schools?
I mean,
to shut it
we
down?
definitely communicate with them for sure.
And on the additional parking, if we're counting on that, we would have to communicate with them
Yes,
on scheduling to see
Correct.
what's available.
correct.
So we lose the batting cages, what else would we potentially lose in this? Because this is a different location than we saw, right? It's more north and south, so I'm just wondering, is there anything else that this
No.
footprint would go over?
And it would not interfere with field play, what failed to mention that earlier. So it would not impact the field, as far as like, on a Friday night, if there's a baseball game, they would still be able to have the game. Along this concrete area, they have these fencings. It's a portable fence that we would put up for, balls when roll in the concrete. Once you hit the concrete, it keeps going, especially for soccer. But you can see the outline of the soccer field there in the white, on the white marks. And this fence, it's a breakaway fence. So if the kid's running up and gets the ball and runs into the fence will break away. So the kid's not just impacting and bouncing off the fence. It's designed for that.
So are we envisioning that the soccer field area would also be seating,
Correct.
lawn seating? So
Correct.
you wouldn't be able to have that
Correct.
type of event here
Correct.
and a
And
soccer
that's-
game at the same time.
Yes. So like if we had a concert or a theater performance, we would block off that field for play, whether it's baseball, softball, or soccer. And that's the same at Blackburn as well. In the position where we were recommending it be at Blackburn, that lower field, we'd have to block it off as well. And there's many facets that go into that, not just the field, but also parking as well. Because if the field's in play or one of the fields, there's multiple people parking, so we would close down the areas to have more parking available.
What's a speed table?
What's
What's a speed table?
It's just like a little elevated part of pavement where it brings it up to the same level as the curb.
So it would actually be concrete or would it be removable?
Usually they're the same pavement as the road, oftentimes concrete. It can be other pavement materials.
I thought we went through this process earlier on when I was on council about how our police and fire hate speed bumps. And the
I mean, if
impact
it-
it has. I was just
They don't
wondering,
necessarily-
the reason I asked is
Correct.
because I'm interested in putting them other places in Webster. If we're doing it here, I question why we can't do it other places.
Usually it's the fire truck. The fire trucks don't like going over them as fast because they can't go full speed over that. It's definitely far better than a speed bump. The speed tables, you can still go at a decent speed over them, but it does slow you down. But if it's fully opposed by the fire department, not allowed, then that can be taken out.
I know, let's keep it because then it gives us a precedent.
There you go.
Well, there's other traffic calming in there besides something to the surface of the road that could happen.
Well, is the point traffic calming or is the point vehicle access to the back of the stage or both?
So the back of the state, if you look on the right, there's or the east, that's where the ice arena is, where those cars
Yeah.
are. That's a back parking lot there.
Yeah.
We envision like performers would park there and there'd be a walkway. They'd go out on Ambrose and then up that sidewalk
Gotcha.
in the back
Okay.
to take all their equipment, their bands, like theater performance would have props, things like that. They could park there, then station it coming up. But they could, and as Jonathan mentioned, the cell tower,
That's like right down here.
that's down here to the south. They could still access through where those trees are. They pull their vehicles in and be able to still access that point.
I mean, I think any sort of calming around there is great, especially if we're attracting more people to that area and it's a straight shot. So it's like an invitation to speed down there.
And
What's
another,
the green or underneath where the words Ambrose Way? Is that like a wall or
Along the curb there.
above concessions and comfort stations like that?
Yeah, like that strip.
Yeah.
It could be either planting there or it could be in the future, there could be sidewalk that can connect up to the intersection. Because in the middle school or with the city, I'm not sure, built sidewalk on this side and then crossing going to them. So long term, it might be nice to have an existing sidewalk that connects through here. Because currently people can only walk on the opposite side of the road on that. And it's a
So
fairly
it's like-
narrow.
Like surface level. right
Yeah,
now.
it's surface.
Wasn't sure if it was
And
like-
I can help.
there is a curve. There is a curve.
Mhm.
And along Ambrose Way there, where the three trees are, going back west, there are multiple other trees there as well. So like in any type of performance that you have, whether theater, concerts, you don't have to be sitting right in front of the stage and, be looking at the band or the performer. My family, we go to a lot of concerts and summer venues. We like to kind of branch out a little bit and just enjoy the atmosphere. So there are a lot of trees there that people could go put their chairs under along that line. So that's kind of wanted to point that out as well.
Are we losing any trees with this design?
No, I don't know.
I think we were, I
I
don't
think-
believe so.
somewhere in the old site, there were some memorial trees that we were worried about, but they're not in
Not
the
in
site.
the
I don't think.
Further south.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if any of them were new, sorry.
Yeah, we try to be adding more. There might be, there potentially could be more planting in the back to try to get more screening of that kind of ice back of house maintenance area. Though that is a lower sections down. Moving on.
And James, sorry, one more. Will there be speakers like elsewhere? Or because like if we're spreading out, or is this space just not that big?
No, it would be the
Mhm.
performers that would come in would bring their speakers.
Gotcha.
It would be able
Okay.
to project,
Yeah.
the entire area.
And they said at our stakeholder thing that they would prefer to bring their own amplification because it's going to be unique to whatever they're doing, and it Chile does much better than that.
We talked a little bit about that because I know you all met with musicians who had
Yes.
maybe strong but not entirely consistent advice. So how has that been incorporated into this, I guess, is part of the question.
Yes, so
Oh, I mean, I know they mentioned like, yeah, they wanted to bring their own amplification. They would like, sometimes it's nice to have lighting built into at least ways where you can attach lighting in some form. I know they said they didn't like the kind of sometimes the mobile stages you bring up because they feel like a weird clamshell and it's not really good for the speaker, the musicians. They did kind of like somewhat smaller or events.
there were a plethora of with 608 people still filling out the survey. There were a lot of ideas and a lot of opinions, which was tremendous. Like it was fun going through all that.
Mhm.
So there are sides, and the good thing is John pointed out, being split a third, people were excited about every area that we offer. So
Yeah, and I
that's a positive.
I know because I talked to him at the open house that several musicians who do regular outdoor events in our community were there, and I think you've talked about what they really wanted, because I feel like their voice should carry a little bit more weight because they know how to present what's going on as opposed to just be a consumer of it.
Yeah, I thought they were, not everyone, of course, there was not one voice, but the people that I talked to had a preference for building up smaller parks around instead of having it at Memorial, but I didn't see that in the kind of summary of feedback.
Sure.
Well, from the small group.
No, I thought that
No, but it was is it later? It is in the presentation
Oh, okay,
at some
okay,
point.
sorry.
Yeah, so maybe we haven't let you get to that point yet.
Promise I did.
For the group of the musicians, one of the things they asked for was lots of outlets and
Yeah.
hookups for when they bring.
And this is more of a half pavilion, half stage, because about 80% of the time it's going to be used as more of a rentable pavilion. Then the other time during special events, the city clears out the tables and everything, and it makes it a nice stage that they can do for other things. But an important thing also is that the city also said that they do want to invest in the other smaller parks. For example, like Glen Park, where one of the musicians sets up, like they don't want anything special, but they want lighting there. So at nighttime, it's not like a dark area. And so that's a small upgrade that the city can do. And there's other like little small upgrades that make existing areas better that are there. So they're not fully doing everything at Memorial. There's also other parks that they want to sponsor.
And I was just going to comment as well that spreading it around and putting it in a smaller park really kind of locks you in for long-term planning as far as being able to host a larger event or like a summer concert series that we could get, 500, 600 people attending. If you did it in a smaller park, it would be very difficult to host something of that size.
So it sounds like in a way you're trying to give us the best of both worlds. Okay.
Are you talking about doing both?
No, I was just saying,
doing this
This
and
area.
Memorial.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and my comment was just to say that, doing something in a smaller park, it'd be nice to have two different things that you could do. You could have a smaller venue, but then also have the capability of doing a larger event.
Well, Glen Park already has an amphitheater, right?
It just doesn't have lights.
Doesn't have lights.
Talk about that.
There's no good parking around there either,
Yeah.
right?
Most of the small parks have very little parking.
Yeah.
I mean, Blackburn's really the only one that has like 200, I think, something spots.
A little less
A little less than that. Yeah, but 140. But all the rest, they're like less than 50 spots. And so if you hosted anything else, yeah, it's very neighborly. Everyone has to park on all the neighborhood streets and it's filling up. So you don't want to have a massive performance at some of those places. But small performances that are a lot of their local musicians have already, created on themselves.
I mean, the Baroque.
Yeah, the
Festival,
Baroque
right?
one.
You know, that there's not a ton of parking there, so
Yeah.
there's a combination of people driving and
There
walking.
is a ton of parking, you just have to be prepared to walk.
Yes.
This isn't a design flaws, it's just logistics. I mean, aren't we gonna run into the problem at Memorial with football games, sporting events, swimming meets, everything like that? So while it looks like we have a lot of parking, isn't our parking gonna be really limited, especially at the times that we wanna use this effectively?
I think if you don't mind me answering it before you, as a former swim team parent, I think the swim club's going to be thrilled with this because they'll use it for bullpen and other kinds of activities, whether we have them rented or whether that's part of just the swim meet thing. I think there's a partnership for some of this stuff for this rather than a competition. But there will be, you're right about some things. I don't know who would want that. Maybe you could run it after the football game, but then you probably run up against our noise ordinances and be.
But isn't it
Too
just a
late.
scheduling issue then? I mean, if the
Yeah.
idea is you're worried about, you'd have 6 different things happen at one time that lead up on parking. There's a master calendar, isn't there, James,
Correct.
that you keep in these things? So if someone is booking something, you'd be able to see if there was going to be.
We just have to coordinate with our partners.
Correct, 100%. And Mary, you brought up a good point. So for like swim meets, like I envision there's an area where the slide is where the performance part would be positioned. It's just a short walk down a little hill, and then there's a gate that you can go, and it's right
By the
real-
starting
real
blocks.
close to the comp pool. Comp pool is right here. So I envision the swim team could utilize that, take a little walk down, have it right there, which would be very convenient for them. And as far as planning goes, typically I envision booking this out a year in advance. So we would be well ahead of the time as far as booking bands, theater performances, rentals, things along that line. We'd be planning way ahead of time to be able to accommodate those type of things.
I guess my concern is, I'm questioning whether Memorial Park's still the right park for this. I mean, Blackburn seems like a better option to me because there's 2 parking lots, one on each side. And it seems like, you put this effectively in the middle and you don't worry, like it'll have less of an impact on the surrounding houses. And so can you walk me through why while the pros and cons or why Memorial is better than Blackburn?
Sure. And those are all good points. So like staff just feel as Memorial is better in the long term just because it offers a variety of things that could be utilized within the recreation campus as far as the pool, renting out year round. Blackburn already has 3 pavilions. We don't really need a 4th. It has 2 fields. And on the flip side of at Blackburn, having 4 pavilions and 2 baseball games going on at the same time, or just now 3 pavilions and 2 fields rented out. It is packed. So if you add a 4th, we'd more than likely have to block off a pavilion, just saying like we can't rent it just because of space capacity. Whereas at Memorial, we want to have that issue because we could plan better, and we don't have 3 pavilions there that we're renting out that draws 50 people, which is a lot of cars times 3. So just kind of in the long term or in the long venue, and just to be able to have the space at Memorial Park, we can do multiple things as far as like food truck events, farmers market, things like that. At Blackburn, we want to be able to do those things.
So let's just, if you park at the parking lot where the parking lot's currently,
Yep.
say you're an older resident or you have mobility issues, I mean, that's a long walk to this, isn't this?
Sure.
I mean, that concerns me too, just about the availability of the opportunity to enjoy this,
Sure.
just because of where it's located and the limited parking that surrounds it.
Yeah.
And I know that we have that issue with every park, so I'm not again, it's a logistics issue, but
Would it be possible in that case to, because we do behind the skating rink have that little parking lot, so for events, perhaps that could be at least partially a
We could block
handicap
that off
or
for.
just,
Right,
yeah.
accessible.
Cause I'd add, that is a very good point, Dave.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a hike. And those lots, the high school lot or the track lot and the rec center, they do fill up like at the same time and people are driving around. On the spread it around slide, just so I'm clear on what we're talking about, there's a list of parks and then there's a map of parks, but they're not one-to-one. So are we talking about updating both? There is overlap, but they don't totally overlap. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about doing Blackburn, but Blackburn's not on the list. We're talking about doing Old Orchard gazebo, but it's not on the map. So I just wanted to get clear on when we talk about spread it around, which parks are we talking about?
I don't know that we've defined all of that yet as far as the spread
Okay.
around goes. A lot of these will be smaller $20,000 projects to put electric at Glen Park or something like that. So it's not, we haven't fully fleshed all those out yet because we've got 20 parks and which ones are we going to spread it to and how much and what can we get into each one of them. So we're looking at those as smaller individual ticketed items per park. So we didn't dive deep into that phase of this yet, but we did want to show the slide saying that we are looking at those in addition to a major venue, but also being able to still spread that around the smaller dollar amounts to other parks.
And then with the scheduling, because it does sound like scheduling is going to be kind of the crux of this
Sure.
working. Who's going to do that scheduling and do we need to add staff for that?
No, we would do obviously in-house scheduling and that's our specialty. So that's what we.
And there's bandwidth for that?
Yes, yes.
And we have the right system in place and
Yes.
like all of that is
Yes.
already
This
set.
would be put in our software system that we you can purchase programs for pavilions. We have a master list that we would put in, we can block it out. Our room rentals are all on Civic Rec. Is what it's called. And we have, we
Yeah, I
have
signed up for
everything set in. Do I?
I signed up for camp.
We have a
on
little
Civic
over
Rec.
100, we have a little over 100 people signed up for camp already. So, signed up.
Yeah, do you wanna, you look like you were ready to go, cause I do know we need to talk numbers, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, basically. The Memorial Park portion, which we have, because that's more of a project that we can budget out. That's coming in at around 1.7 million, including all the contingencies and other fees built into that. I believe Prop W is like 2.5 million, and so this leaves space for the other projects that you need to shift stuff around.
The estimate on this was 2.5.
And this is only Memorial. This doesn't include any of the spread it around stuff.
Most of the spread around is fairly small, like you said, like 20,000, 30,000 small little projects that the city would do. But because they don't have a master list now, we can't budget those ones specifically.
can I ask another question about the parks?
Yes.
Why was Southwest eliminated?
Um,
7.6% both said that they.
I was gonna say, what was that on?
Yeah, I get that, but I mean, was
That's
there?
even less a parking area.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have parking along the street.
Yeah, that's
Right
true.
there, and I agree that, I mean, parking's gonna be an issue there, I'm just trying to think.
Houses.
Yeah.
So
that would probably fall under the spread it around group where they would do some upgrades for Hawking the House's performances they do out front, but that's, I guess because of the lack of normal parking, like you would have to, yes, go on the streets for that. And because not many people wanted that one as specifically as a really big venue. So that's why we didn't choose that for the big one.
Street parking is going to be a thing at all of these.
Yes.
And one of the things to remember is that we're trying, or at least in my perspective, we're trying to increase our total output of our park system. And this performance park, while we can use it however many days we want to for performances, it's also going to be able to function as just a parking building that has restrooms. Neither one of those things are at Memorial Park now. We already have those at South. We have them at Larson. We have them at Crawford. We have them at Blackburn. So it really fills another niche market at Memorial Park by having that pavilion, having those restrooms available for 160 days of baseball, softball, soccer that's already played there.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, I would be in favor of getting restrooms and everything at Memorial Park. My concern though is I don't know, just because of the logistics here, I'm not sure it's going to be utilized effectively for residents. And that's my concern, I guess. I like this idea. Like, I think about the surrounding municipalities that has something like this, Chesterfield, Kirkwood, they have a parking lot right there that can match the need. And unfortunately, we might not have that here in Webster. And I'm not saying that that's a reason to stop this, but it definitely seems like to me that it's gonna limit the number of people that can use it.
I don't know, David, we're a walkable community.
Oh, yeah.
It's walkable. It's just it's a small walk. And if people have real like issues with accessibility, I feel like they could, drop off, grandma or whoever is going to.
Do you have
The
a
park.
site plan of the whole park with parking?
Not on the.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's closer.
Closest, yeah.
Oh, that's.
This is closer. It's not built for that, but
Because it's
this is the city parking. Up north is the new
Right.
ball field or the
Yeah.
stadium parking,
Yeah.
and then they've got parking in front of the middle school.
And there are a lot of venues that you go to, Chesterfield Amphitheater as well, every place struggled with parking. I've been there multiple times. I used to work for the city and they, when I've gone there just as a member enjoying a concert, you have to walk it the wrong ways. And now they can't utilize the mall parking, but they were pulling people over there and shuttling people. So anytime you have a large event, like typically you are walking a short distance, so.
And this park could hold it because we do fireworks there every year with
Right,
10,000 people.
right,
We've done
right.
community days carnival there for
Yeah.
years with 5,000 people a day there. So there's ways to get it done.
Are there more ways to cut through instead of just going up and around? Like if you were to park down by the skate park, can you
Yeah.
get over there without going up and around?
So right here, like if you parked over in this area, you can take a sidewalk all the way up here and around here, and then you can set up.
Nice.
Set up right there.
Because I'm the spokesperson for soccer in the city.
Great.
It's-
I challenge you to that.
Is it? I called it. They did say Jordan made me a script and I said, the rest of the world calls it football. Anyway, been at that field a number of Friday and Saturday nights in my life, for watching soccer games. What's gonna happen like in the fall with conflicts?
So we wouldn't have a soccer game going on if something was going on. So we would just block those dates out.
Okay,
And then we would give the organizations that rent it
okay,
ample notice, and we work closely with all the soccer organizations, Webster Girls Baseball Softball Association. We work with them hand in hand half a year, so we would communicate that a year in advance.
Do you think it'll decrease the number, like the availability for, I mean, it might move the dates, but like overall, do you think it'll decrease the
No.
availability for soccer or baseball games?
No, because I mean we're not going to have things there every single Friday night, so there's going to be a handful of times that it might conflict, but we're going to do our best to schedule things where it doesn't conflict. Not during soccer season or when baseball season ends, in July, like playoffs and stuff like that. We do stuff in July and August. There's a window there where it sits. And it's just like, random rentals that, a family rents it for a flag football game or something like that. So we do our best to avoid any conflicts, but will there be? I'm sure, but we would try to schedule like a larger event that we're doing to where it wouldn't interfere with a normal sporting event.
And there's also several months a year where there's not baseball or soccer going on.
yeah, for sure.
Baseball ends in June and soccer doesn't start practicing until August. It doesn't really start playing until September. So you've got several months there in the summertime for concert series and things like that. But
Yeah.
there's not a scheduling conflict on the fields.
I mean, essentially, we're adding a new audience, we're putting a new use here, and so we're broadening the people that can utilize this park, which I think is a good idea, and this is central, it's well located within the city as far as access, so I can completely see why it's a choice that you all are working on right now.
So I'm gonna experience the wrath of a lot of people, I'm sure, when I say this, but why not put it where the skate park is and we can find another place to put the skate park?
Where?
It's not big enough.
I'm not
I
saying.
mean, that's the question, isn't it?
I
Where do we put
agree,
it?
but I mean, to me, that makes a lot more logical sense. If we're gonna assume that this is gonna get a lot of use, why not put it in a spot that is actually convenient? And one is already close to the concessions, but, and that's gonna I mean, to me, I understand the importance of the skate park. I'm not discounting that, and I think that we should have a skate park. But I'm just saying from a use standpoint, that part of land is better used for this than a skate park.
I would argue that that makes it less accessible to parking. Because you're coming a long way to get from the school district parking, both school district lots, and you really cut yourself off from using the Elm Avenue School District parking lot. Which is a smaller lot, but it's still actually parking. I would also say if we moved it there, we'd still have to, I still would argue we'd have to build restrooms by the baseball and soccer field, because
That's
we
a
hear
huge-
consistently about that being a problem. And so I don't know that you want to separate those two things. I do see your point, absolutely. It seems like sort of that was be where it would fit in, and that's where we used to have the concerts during when the 4th of July was over here. But if we're thinking about parking, I'm not sure that's a great alternative.
Fully on the pavement.
And the other side with that area, if you had an event with, a concert, I would say kind of like with 800 people, it would be very, very congested in that spot. And just the mere feel of having the performance park where we're recommending, and just having everybody spread out in an open field. You bring your umbrellas, you bring your blanket, you lay and listen to music. It's just it's exciting. It's a cool feel to have that just wide sea of people.
I'm going to ask, what is it that you would like or need from us tonight?
Basically, we're just presenting, doing a update, and just kind of the next steps would be to go more into design and getting cost estimates. And then we'd come back, and we're not going to do anything without approval, obviously. So that's kind of just the same as like a Crockett.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, everyone can think about whether they're good with that for a minute. There has been conversation about, instead of building anything, buying a mobile performance park. You want to address that just so we kind of have on record what the reasoning was there?
Yeah, so we did look into purchasing a mobile stage. I was in contact with some other cities about going into a partnership. One thing where you run into with that is liability of setting it up. Would we rent it out? I would recommend renting it out. But just setting it up alone takes a lot of staff power, and you wouldn't want to rent it out to person down the street and have them set it up and damage it. So there's a lot of logistics with that. Obviously, it is a possibility, and I forget what was the estimate. It was a while back to look that
I
up.
had two. I think one was 150 and one was like 220 for the larger size. So it is still a possibility. James has done some work and talked to some other Parks and Rec departments in the area that might be willing to share that cost. That we could, each have it for 6 events a year or something like that. But I would have concerns renting that out to a city that would not be part of that cooperative. Because there is long-term maintenance on those. And if someone takes it and breaks it, who fixes it? So things of that nature. But, it is certainly still on the table. A lot of the musicians that we talk to don't love them, but we do use them for Jazz Fest and stuff because you need a mobile stage at a place like that. So it's something that's still on the table.
And it's my understanding that we do have a couple neighbors who have them. I thought in our conversations with some other cities that they said they already own them, which to me would mean renting it out becomes even harder.
There are a couple, Brentwood, St. Louis County, a few others may have them. They've all stopped renting them because of those same issues that they come back broke, or their staff has to transport them on Saturday morning, set them up Saturday, take them down Sunday, bring them back to, that type of stuff. So.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
So I know we're talking about the performance park, but in Memorial Park, there have been other comments about maybe making some improvements near the tennis courts, sidewalks, seating, bathrooms, that sort of thing. Are we looking into, I know we're talking about the skate park, or we're talking about the performance park. Are we talking about doing anything else in Memorial Park that would improve some of that?
Not in this plan here. We do have a 40 acres master plan where we discussed a bunch of those ideas and had those. We looked at seeding all along, terracing this whole hillside along Glendale, terracing that down. That was about $1 million price tag to terrace that in for seeding. But yes, as we look at that park as a whole, we are still cognizant of some of those things that the park could use that would benefit, but that's not in this plan.
Right,
today.
no, I do get that, and I know it wasn't one of the line items when we did Prop W, but it is parks related, so possibly there's funding available that might be some, maybe not the $1 million plan, but there might be some improvements. we
Any
could
park
look at.
grants into Prop W, if there's still funds available, once we exhaust the probable list that the voters voted on, things of that nature, or just one-offs in the park improvement fund, yes, there's.
I think, sidewalk along there and a bathroom would go a really long way. But, okay, I'm just checking to see it's still.
All right, in the nature of time, I'm sorry to
You're fine.
interrupt, since we're going to a little bit off. Is everyone on board with moving ahead with formalizing some plans and getting specific cost estimates? Anyone have any
Yes.
objections to that?
Thank you.
It's
All right.
exciting.
All right, yes, and thank you all for
Thank you
our
very much.
partners for their work as well.
Yes.
We are going to do a brief closed session before our regular meeting. And Councilmember Bliss is going to call for that under subsection 1.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to pass an executive closed session related to Missouri statute 610.021 subsection 1.
Jamie was the second.
That was Emily.
Oh,
Doesn't
what? Sorry, I just heard it from that direction.
Mayor Arnold.
I moved that up.
Yes.
Councilmember Bliss.
Yes.
Councilmember Franklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith is absent. Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Hassmeyer.
Yes.
So for those of you who are online, please note that we're going to now close this meeting and we will reopen this meeting. You'll have to log on again at 7:30 for our regular meeting. All right, thank you. Okay, welcome to the February 3rd, 2026 meeting of the Webster Grove City Council. We are happy to have comments from a very full house today. We'd ask if you'd like to make a comment, if you'd fill out a speaker card like this, which is located on the table over here. If you are on Zoom and you would like to make a comment, we're going to ask you to use the raise your hand function at the time that is indicated, and we will call on you and give you the opportunity to speak at that time. We do limit comments to 3 minutes so that we can get through our meeting in an orderly fashion. And you will obviously get that chance when I recognize you from the chair. I think we are now ready to have the call of the roll.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor Arnold.
Here.
Councilmember Bliss. Here. Councilmember Franklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander. Here. Councilmember Hickson Shepherd.
Here.
Councilmember Hassmeyer.
Here. All right, our first order of business are a couple of proclamations. The first of which is for the observance of Black History Month. And I'm going to go ahead and read this for us. Whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the past struggles of African Americans and to the cultural, economic, spiritual, and political contributions and achievements of African Americans in Webster Groves and in the nation. And in Webster Groves, there is a continued need to address racism and strengthen the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion in our lives. The city honors many African Americans who have played an important role in improving the quality of life in our city, including council members, educators, administrative staff, business owners, and many others who have provided leadership through their service on city, school, and nonprofit boards and committees, including the North Webster Neighborhood Coalition. Whereas community members are encouraged to learn about past history of African Americans in our community through the book North Webster, A Photographic History of a Black Community by Ann Morris and Henrietta Ambrose, and through the vignettes on the bronze sculpture called Ascension, located in Barbary Park. And whereas the city of Webster Groves is proud to honor the history of African Americans in our community and across the nation, and recognizes that we must continue to work to treat all persons with fairness, dignity, and respect, to create a world that is just and peaceful with opportunity for all. Now therefore I, Laura Arnold, Mayor of Webster Groves, on behalf of the entire City Council, hereby proclaim February 2026 as Black History Month in Webster Groves. Right. We have a second proclamation, and we do have some people in the audience who are here to accept that proclamation. So I'm going to come down, and if you all will come forward, I think there are 6 students or so who are going to be here. All right, I'm going to stand right back here. You guys, I will read this to you, and then we'll take a picture together, and the council can come down for that. All right. Okay, so this group of young ladies, I believe all of you are students at Webster Groves High School, is that right? Requested this proclamation in memory of a loved one, and also because of the great work that we have foundations in our community doing work in this very area. So here we go. Whereas congenital heart disease, CHD, is the most prevalent birth defect in the United States, affecting 1 in every 100 births, and has been identified as the leading cause of birth defect-related deaths. And whereas there is no known cure for CHD, as it is a lifelong disease that requires ongoing specialized care. And whereas the health and well-being of CHD patients is of paramount importance, and it is crucial that individuals planning a family, obstetricians, pediatricians, and all those in the medical field have a greater understanding of the potential for CHD. And whereas Congenital Heart Disease Awareness Week provides the opportunity for patients and families affected by CHD to share their experiences and knowledge so that the general public can become aware of how this defect affects our community. Now, therefore, I, Laura Arnold, Mayor of the City of Webster Groves, on behalf of the entire City Council, acknowledge the importance of congenital heart disease awareness and encourage everyone to learn more about CHD and its effects on our friends, family, and community. And hereby proclaim February 7th through 14th, Congenital Heart Disease Awareness Week in Webster Groves, Missouri. Furthermore, the City of Webster Groves hereby proclaims Friday, February 13th, 2026 as Congenital Heart Disease Awareness Day in the City of Webster Groves. Right. Who am I going to do this shit? Anyone who wants to be in a picture, come on in. Yeah, you're going to have to stand and read more. All right, you got it taller than Dawson. No injuries, please, but we do have paramedics in the house. All right, oh, hold on. All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
There, before you proceed, that's a change in the agenda.
Oh, yes, thank you very much. All right, yes, for those of you in the room who didn't attend our work session, we do have a slight change in the agenda. We are moving new business ahead of remarks from community and visitors, but the rest of the agenda then will proceed as scheduled. Excuse me one second as I... Okay, this afternoon, the city received from Dr. Peoples a letter that notified us of her intention to resign, and actually a formal letter of resignation. And so I wanted to give her the opportunity to speak about that right now.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. So mayor, council, staff, community, serving as city manager has been an absolute honor. I've had the privilege of working alongside an exceptional staff whose dedication and heart show up every single day. I'm grateful to the community for their engagement, and I want to thank the council for your partnership in moving important work forward. I'm extremely proud of what we've all collectively accomplished together. So thank you.
All right, thank you. And we will schedule a time later to say goodbye and give you a street sign, which everyone deserves a street sign. So, all right, we have two other items of new business and there are two letters that I know council members have seen at least the topic of these letters. One is a letter that the Traffic Advisory Commission has asked us to send on behalf of the Traffic Advisory Commission, this council, and other city commissions that would support developing a statewide active transportation plan. Just want to, as is typical, I don't send these unless council approves. Is there any objection to us signing the letter of support there? Right. The second is has to do with two bills in the House of Representatives that would eliminate the solid waste management districts and essentially get rid of some of the programs and funding that we use for recycling in our community. This would be sent to members of the legislature and available for those of us who are going next week to the Municipal League to distribute to legislatures. Is there any objection to this letter?
No.
Yes.
And Mayor, may I make a comment?
Sure.
I just want to tip my hat with a ton of gratitude to the quick work of staff who responded to this urgent matter to really get out and let our legislators know how this funding is really critical to a lot of the educational opportunities that are available in the St. Louis region. This funding gets diverted. A lot of really great organizations in the St. Louis area would suffer. So I'm really thankful for the advocacy from the city of Webster Groves. It means a lot and it carries a lot of water.
Right. Thank you. Is there anyone who has other new business? All right. We will then move to remarks from the community and visitors. My first card is from Mr. Brett Ellis. I know I saw you. You're used to your seat in the back row.
Good evening, Brett Ellis, retired fire chief. I live at 87 Sandow Avenue. I start with a quote by Brene Brown. When we have the courage to walk into our story and own it, we get to write the ending. Webster Groves Council Mayor, I was blessed to serve as a Webster Groves fire chief for the last 4 years, and I cannot imagine retiring from the job I've loved for 29 years with any other group of brother and sister firefighters. We were able to accomplish as a team speaks volumes to their leadership, openness, courage, vulnerability, humility, and character, to embrace change and never settle for status quo, because this community, our community only deserves elite service from their fire department. I thank you for your support of the budgets I prepared to help move our team forward to be the best trained, most ready, and passionately responsive firefighters in the region. I moved over 800 miles away with my family from our home to be the chief that I always needed. One to serve two communities, my firefighters and the people that call Webster Groves their home. The relationship that I entered into with the city as your fire chief, I viewed as a reciprocal relationship of trust, commitment, accountability, integrity, and respect. I would be remiss if I did not share perspective as to the why behind my pursuit to grow personally, serve, and develop leaders elsewhere. I regularly experienced toxic leadership, which negatively impacted our organization. You didn't endorse me as your fire chief to be micromanaged or even managed. You endorsed me to lead, make us better, provide visionary leadership and continuous improvement, to be an elite service in our community for all hazards. Culture becomes whatever leadership tolerates. I will never burn a bridge. In fact, I'm a bridge builder, but I will remove barricades and inhibit bridge building. In toxic workplaces, the greatest danger isn't the bully, it's the culture that protects them. What I would ask of you is please self-reflect as a team and recognize that these are people's lives and no job person should impact mental, emotional, or physical health. People live here, they want to feel safe. When they call 911, they want to know that a police officer is around the corner. They want to know that when they have an unconscious 3-year-old or a weird smell in their house, or they're trapped in their car on the interstate, or when they're watching their entire world in a house and home in flames, that there are people ready to risk a lot to save a lot because we as first responders will do our job. Public safety is a service provider, not a revenue stream. Please change this narrative that public safety is going to bankrupt the city, because your words and the words of others matter. I love this city. I've been a community partner since I arrived, and I'll continue to serve the community I love, Webster Groves, and the communities in and around this region as a servant leader, inspiring people to love each other, love the job, and love the community through intentional connection. As I retire from the fire service, I'm reminded that why this is the best job in the world. Camaraderie, courage, commitment, compassion, and care have served as a foundation for the fire service. The mark of an authentic leader is that their absence is felt, but their influence remains. A leader's legacy is not the systems or the walls they built, but how they made people feel as they lifted them up. I hope my people felt lifted up beyond measure by my service to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Right. Our next card comes from Dan O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill.
Dan O'Neill, 604 North Cleat Station Road. Our home is less safe than it should be because of the Webster Groves Building Department. Our house was built in 1947 and wired with this old cloth-covered insulation wire with only 2 conductors, no ground. While our house was being remodeled, it should have been updated to the new color-coded electric wire with ground, and would have been, except we weren't allowed to do so. I asked several times about permission to replace some of the electrical wiring, and we were told that the only electrical work we were allowed to do was to replace the outlets and ceiling fans. I asked about an homeowner electrical competence test, but was told that there was no test. We hired an electrical contractor to put in a new 200 amp panel, all 220 volt circuits, wire the kitchen and 2 bathrooms where the studs were exposed and the old wiring removed by the previous owner. The electrical cost to replace the old remaining wire to the 3 bedrooms and living room was close to $12,000, and not something our budget could absorb. 2 electricians at $150 an hour adds up fast. The work is simple. Use a meter to make sure the wire carries no current, pull out the old wire, drill holes in rafters, studs, and floor joists, and run new wire per code to the switches and outlets. Have the electrician review the work and then connect the wiring to the new electric panel and test the circuits. Drilling holes and pulling wire is nothing but time-consuming work anyone with basic construction skills can do. When I replaced the ceiling fans and outlets, in almost every case, the old cloth insulation turned to dust and came off the copper wires, and they had to be wrapped with electrical tape to prevent shorts in the old metal electrical boxes. Not good. Despite having the ability, knowledge, experience, tools, and time to replace the old wiring, we, the homeowners, could not do the work. Last month, an old friend planning to move inspected a similar Webster Groves home. He talked to the building department about doing electrical work. He followed up with an email specifically asking if he could replace the old 2-conductor 110 wiring with new 110 wiring with ground. The answer he got in writing was, yes, you can. So if he was given permission to do the wiring and upgrade his house, we were told, no, you can't. That's why our house is not as safe as it should be. How did this happen? Why did this happen? And who is responsible?
So I will call you tomorrow. We don't do comments back and
I know.
forth to this. And I believe last time you were here, I did try to call you, and I don't think I got a return message, but we will get in touch.
I never
with
got
one
the
another.
message, man.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll get together. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, the next speaker card I have is from Andrea Lacey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lacey. I'm a 16-year resident here in Webster Groves. I've been a relatively engaged resident for the last year and a half or so. I just want to first thank you guys on the council and the mayor for serving our community. And I would like to keep this super brief to respect your time. I'm here today to ask Webster Groves not to voluntarily partner with ICE. In any healthy and functional relationship, trust is a must. This is especially true in small communities like Webster Groves. I know that our police force has worked hard to have an exceptional working relationship with our community. Every encounter I have had with officers has been a positive experience. Thankfully, not very many. And a shout out to the gentleman that I see all the time at Hickson and at the high school, keeping our children safe. I believe if our police department works with an agency that has proven countless times in recent months that they are willing to violate the law, violate due process, and violate basic human decency, what does that say about us? A partnership with them would come at a cost. And I think it is too high a cost for Webster Groves. Trust is just one of many reasons I believe that we should be extremely hesitant to partner with them at this time.
Thank you. All right, if you are with us online and you would like to make a public comment, you can now use the raise your hand function so that we may identify you. You want to scroll down, I guess it should pop to the top, but. All right, it doesn't look like we have anyone online. we're going to move on to unfinished business. Councilmember Hassemeyer, could you call for the third reading of bill number 9297?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to call for the third reading of bill number 9297.
Second.
Bill 9297, third and final reading. An ordinance amending Chapter 60, the Traffic Code, Article 16, Section 60.965, Schedule F of the Code of Webster Groves, miscellaneous stops to authorize the installation of stop signs on Willis Avenue at Holland Avenue.
Is there any discussion?
No.
All right, we can go ahead and have the vote then.
Councilmember Bliss,
Yes.
Councilmember Franklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander,
Yes.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Hassemeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Arnold.
Yes. All right, we'll move on to new business. Our director of. There he is. Yes, Director of Finance. I just didn't see where you were in the room and for our second quarter budget update.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, members of the council. Yes, this is our regular quarterly update that we provide regarding the budget as well as where we are at in terms of investments and such. So we'll go over the budget performance to date. We'll look at the the high level, the quarterly investment report, and I've put together some mid-year analysis as requested, and hopefully we'll shed some light on what I'm seeing going forward in terms of our budget situation. So this is the all funds budget, not including Destination WG, and I excluded that because until we issue the second round of bonds, we're not going to have any income. So it makes the it makes it look like we're spending a lot more than what we have versus, so, because those projects are planned. However, this is the existing budget in terms of, again, all funds, what we had planned on spending this year, and where we are. Karen, can I move this? There we go. All right, that's better. And then where we're at this point in fiscal year 2025, which of course would have been December 31st, 2024. So more importantly, though, what we're really concerned about typically is the general fund. So I put up here, which is both the budget and the actual year to date as amended. And the primary amendment was that based on the audit, we were instructed that we needed to move the pension real estate property tax income revenue and expenditures back to the pension fund. So they came out of the general fund. So that's why these numbers will look different if you look at the budget that was approved back in June or my previous budget update. So, but the net result is not much of a change. So we had budgeted a $1.2 million deficit. Right now, we have taken in 2.1 million less than what we've spent. At this time last year, that number was 600,000. St. Louis County, which I've mentioned before, they went to a new billing and collection system, which has been a lot of fun for all of us who are responsible for keeping tabs on where our income is. Thankfully, we are in a position that we can weather the delays, but we did not get the majority of our funds until a week and a half ago. So
they're not reflected in these numbers.
Reflected in this number because this is a December 31st number. So that's why this gap is so much bigger at this point in time than it was last year. That's the primary reason. And it's also good to remember that the police CBA not having been finalized as yet, that those numbers still have not been worked back into the budget. And once that gets done, those will have to be reworked and a budget amendment done. I did not mean to do that. Sorry. All right.
Fine now.
For you. So this is where our general fund revenue has come from so far. And the big thing, as you can see, the difference between, we're half of what we were at last year in terms of property taxes. So I'm not going to read them all to you. I did run the numbers for January, however, and when I did this report, which would have been last week, we are roughly at 50% of revenue at this point. So we've balanced out with the deposits, although I'm still waiting for several $100,000 from the county. So we will see when that arrives. I'm expecting it to be here soon, but they've continued to have their challenges. So apparently some of the billing did not go out until late November, early December. So they were delayed in the billing as well. This is our expenditure budget this year compared to last. Not terribly, there's not much notable here. I did update for you all the credit card usage fees sit at 65,000 so far for the 6 months of the year. And until that we can get that matter resolved, which we will do before the opening of the pool season, the water park season, those numbers are going to continue to still run at about $10,000 to $15,000 a month. So Civic Plus, which owns Civic Rec, which is the software that we use, have basically given me two options, neither of which are ideal and not the one that I want to do. So, but that's where I'm stuck with. Our quarterly investment report, we have $32.5 million in investments in cash on hand, 19 and a quarter of that is invested. So you see our liquidity ratio there, our yield spreads and the weighted average yield. So our $19 million in investment is currently invested around 3.71%. So that comes out to about $650,000 a year, rough back of the napkin math. We'll see how that gets maintained. I had locked in a number of those interest rate amounts before the Fed started cutting. So we'll see how that evolves as the year goes on. I did some budget work, just taking a look at sales tax being our biggest source of revenue. This is probably one of the things that the public doesn't completely understand, in that we don't operate on a cash basis, meaning money in, money out. Sometimes our money is delayed. So for instance, all of our sales taxes are always a month behind. So the money that we got in January is actually from December, I said that wrong. When we get in January is actually from November, and then we get December, and then for the county collected taxes, they're 2 months behind. However, we have almost a full half a year's worth of numbers here, and I'm just going to say that I had planned on budgeting for flat, and that's pretty much where we are. We're higher than we were last year at this time, but we're still below where we were for fiscal year 2024. So the sales taxes have pretty much leveled out. Where we've seen the big boost, of course, initially had been the use tax, but even that has kind of leveled out as well. Here are the current projections for the general fund, all things being equal, and if everything proceeds as they've had for the last 6 months, and we continue to maintain those averages and we don't change anything. That's a lot of ifs. We would end $600,000 ahead. So that's that difference between the total 22.4 million in revenue and 21.8. However, that's not going to happen. So we currently have 10 vacancies. 2 of those have already been filled since I put all this together. So that'll start eating into that amount. When the police CBA is done, that will cut into that with significantly, I would expect. We'll see what happens there. The big assumption, of course, is that revenue continues to maintain our currently monthly average, and that the gains in our utility taxes continue to be maintained as well. So I know that homeowners don't like it that the Ameren and both Ameren and Inspire increased their fees. That increases our revenue as well from those. We partake of those increases. And also usage. So this is, we haven't gotten January's numbers, and January being a historically cold month, I would expect that the Spire deposit in February, at the end of February, will be much higher than usual for this time of the year. And it assumes that the last assumption there is that we spend 100% of what we have budgeted in all of the other lines. That doesn't have to be the case. It hardly ever is, but that's the assumption there, because it's a lot more difficult to say. I mean, it's throwing a dart on the dartboard sometimes in terms of what we're going to spend. So we're going to continue to have savings. So if I don't have a crystal ball. However, I would say that we're going to be that it's not going to be the 1.2 million that we had budgeted. In terms of a deficit, it's going to be a lot narrower than that. So, and we still have the possibility of running a surplus.
I'm sorry, what did the?
We still have the possibility of running a surplus at this time. So
Well, I know all of our directors are sitting, or most of them are sitting in the room, and I have to commend you for belt tightening because those expenditures are definitely under what was budgeted. So thank you for being aware of that. Any questions? Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much. Appreciate it. All right. Is there anything anyone would like to remove from the consent agenda?
I don't want to remove anything, but can I ask a question? The OMCI, we're not losing that by accepting this grant, right? It's an addition to, that's how I read it. Okay.
All right, well, then you get to make the motion to adopt the consent.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Councilmember Franklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
yes.
Councilmember Alexander, Councilmember Hickson Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Hasselmeyer,
Yes.
Mayor Arnold,
Yes.
Councilmember Bliss.
Yes.
Right, we have not made any appointments to boards and commissions. We do need to do one different item under closed session, 1 and 3. Councilmember?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to call for an executive closed session. Attorney-client privilege communication from Missouri statute 610.021 subsection 1 and personnel Missouri statute 610.021 subsection 3.
Okay.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander, Councilmember Hickson Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Hasselmeyer, Mayor Arnold,
Yes.
Councilmember Bliss,
Yes.
Councilmember Franklin.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all for joining us.